Here's another. Yeah, we'll be sitting up here. You guys will be doing most of the talking, so we'll stay over there. Hey, Ron. You're live.
Some cookies over there,
I don't know, they might be planning
I
it.
think it'd be a gesture if you brought some
Coming in.
cookies.
Are they putting cards in here?
The cookies, we should, since we gave them the booth, we should give them some fast and cookies. Sure, it looks nice.
Power, several locations.
You know what? Actually, Mike can take it back. You just leave it over there, 'cause that's where the power is. Maybe, but sometimes that's
It's a good thing.
a good thing.
Yes. Get ready for your future in politics.
Are these live? I guess they are. huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
You are. Okay. We're good? No, she's shaking her head. Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Russ Machin. I'm the Cortez Airport Manager. And tonight we've got with us Sean Simpson on my far right. He's the CEO of Boutique Airlines. And on my immediate right, we have Michael Harold, yes. He's the Customer Services Manager for the airline. Sean is going to go ahead and start with a few remarks on what they've been able to accomplish here in Cortez, give you a few stats, and some of the bumps in the road that they've encountered in their last year and a half while serving Cortez in the Essential Air Service contract. Just to give you a little background, they are here because they're subsidized. That's the only way Cortez and other communities of like size will have an airline service. So the government, the federal government, through the Department of Transportation, they subsidize airlines through the Essential Air Service program, and those airlines bid on the communities, and then the bids go to Washington, where an airline is selected to serve a particular community. In the case this year, when the bids were closed on April 6th or 9th, so I can't remember which one, the only bidder was Boutique Air. We did have some feelers and communication from a couple of other airlines, but for whatever reason, they neglected to or did not submit a bid. So, Boutique Airline, unless there's something wrong with their submittal from the viewpoint of DOT, they will be the airline serving us for the next 2-year period. Their current 2-year contract, and they always run in 2-year increments, their current 2-year contract runs through September 30. So this one that they were talking about tonight will commence on October 1. So without further ado, Sean, if you want to take it from there.
Sure thing, Russ. Thank you. And thanks for having us here. It's a pleasure to be here. Mike and I are here from San Francisco. And we both flew in today from different places, but we're glad to be here. And just wanted to go through some of our statistics and numbers and performance with you. I guess to start off with, we've been serving Cortez for about a couple years, and in general, things have been going extremely well regarding emplanements. I think when we started, there were around 2,500 emplanements or so per year. Is that right, Russ?
About how many?
2,500, I think we were at. Before
Yeah,
that?
about 2,400, right.
2,400. And now we're doing approximately 6,000 emplanements. So we've increased more than double, even approaching triple the number of people that were getting on planes before that. So,
In your first full year, you had 7,800.
7,800
Right.
versus 2,400. So that's more than triple. So we're happy with that. I've got a few statistics here. Since we started, we have completed 97.5% of the flights that we planned. We've had a load factor, so the planes have been approximately 77% full. And we have transported a total of 23,961 people as of last week. So all pretty good numbers in general. I think part of the reason that there haven't been other bidders is because when you have a pretty good performance, other airlines don't feel like they are necessarily going to do a whole lot better. So we're happy with what we've done. Now, that said, we have had some challenges in recent months, and that's no fun, of course. A lot of these were in the month of February, and a little bit in January, a little bit in March as well. And there are a few reasons for these challenges. Primarily, they've been driven from maintenance. There's a few systems on the airplanes that we're using that are these are great airplanes, but there's some of the systems that are, the de-icing system is a little bit of an Achilles heel on this plane, and it's not that it's unsafe, it's just that after a certain number of uses, it tends to wear out more quickly, and so we have to replace it more often, and it just kind of will show an indication light that it needs work at inopportune times, like when the plane is ready to take off. So we've had to cancel flights, and that happened a little bit more to us this winter than in other times, and not necessarily even here, but it's happened in other places where there's been more ice where we operate. For example, in Oregon, in Minnesota, and in New York. So we've got more operations in these colder states, and so what's happened is we'll have some issues happening up there, and then we'll send airplanes from here to there. And then sometimes those airplanes would also have issues. So some of these northern states have been sucking up a lot of our extra resources, and so when we have had challenges down this way, we haven't been able to cope with them as easily. So in response to this, we have been adding additional airplanes in the recent months. We have not increased our flying, but we have added extra planes so that we're able to cover these types of situations better. So, and in general, like the past 2 months, we've been operating about 100% of the flights, except for during 1 week. And a few weeks before that, like in February, we did have some weeks where we're in the 90s, and one particularly bad week where we only completed about 62% of the flights, and that's definitely the worst week we've had since we've been operating here. But in general, like the last month, it's been pretty much 100% with a few exceptions here and there. So definitely kind of back on track from where we were in February, and yeah, I think things have been going pretty well. I don't know if we have any any questions from the audience that we were going to be fielding.
Did you want to talk about any changes you've got going forward?
Sure. Yeah.
Remedies to the problems you've noted?
Yeah. So, I guess there are a few other updates that I'll provide. Since we started flying here, we have entered into an interline agreement with United Airlines. So that's helped put more visibility for flying in and out of Cortez, and it's increased the enplanements a little bit as well. And we have a great partnership with United, and things are going very well in that regard, and we expect it to continue to increase. So at some point there might even be a larger partnership with them where people are able to redeem points and so on, but not at this point, maybe in the future. And then on another thing that we've heard back from people in the community is a little bit about pricing. So we have been changing our pricing. We've tried different things. At one point, there was interest in maybe adding in other flights into the community, and so we tested some higher pricing to see how that might work out, and that it was okay, but there was definitely a drop off when we tried to increase prices that could potentially help there be more flights that would be unsubsidized. Subsequently, we brought prices down, but we did leave a few prices at the high end, and Russ and I actually talked about this a little bit earlier today. That's been kind of met with mixed reviews and mixed success, and with that, we've actually dropped our prices again. So right now, the fare range is $89 at the low end. We've got a few tickets there. We've got more tickets at $129, and then we've got a few tickets at $199. That's the high end of the range at this point. So I think that is more in line with what people want to be paying. So there's that. And
do you want to explain the code sharing that's going into effect in about a week or so, and what that means?
Well, we don't have that. We're going to be announcing more information about that going forward. Okay. But right now, we just have interline.
Okay.
So, but we do, like, this expanded partnership should be coming out pretty soon.
Sure. If anyone has any questions from the audience, we are going to ask you to approach the podium so that, because this is being recorded, and we want to make sure everybody can hear you as well. So if there are any questions from the audience, we're now open for questions or comments. And please state your name for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Jim Herrick.
You might want to go to the one on the left.
This one? I am taller than that, aren't I?
Yes.
Thanks, Russ. I owe you one. Again. Good evening. My name is Jim Herrick. I live at 817 Balsam. First of all, I'd like to thank you for providing the service. I think it's pretty obvious at this point in time that if we would have relied on Great Lakes, we would not have an airline at this time, so I'm pretty thankful that we do have an airline. I must say that I was a little taken aback. I was really pleased with your original fee structure, and I did participate heavily in your voucher program initially, and I really liked it. I must admit I was much taken aback when the vouchers went doubled in price and then tripled in price. So my first question is, what is your current voucher price if I wanted to buy a book of 10 to Phoenix and or Denver? What would that? What is your voucher price on that?
I need to double check that, but what I will say is our intention, and probably if it's not there already, right at this moment, we'll be changing that. But it should be at around $110 per ticket, which fixes.
That's fair. That's a lot better than the 3 times it went to for a while.
Right.
And it's even better than the double that it went to. So I'd be good with that. Good. And then I was reading in the newspaper that there was talks about perhaps a Las Vegas flight. Are you still looking at that?
We're always looking at new options. And that's something we can, kind of talk about with the city officials as well. It's
A lot of moving pieces on that.
yeah.
It involves
Yeah.
another community which has to come into the fold for that to happen.
And my final question is for you, Russ. Knowing that the magic number in this game is the 10,000 employment, I mean, are we ever going to get close to that again?
That's why we're talking about other routes, and these other routes that we're talking about are outside of the essential air service contract. So it would be totally removed from that and voluntarily provided by Boutique. They're very keenly aware of our desire to reach 10,000. We hit over 7,800 last year from the prior, I can't say the prior year because they operated part year and Great Lakes operated prior year, but the last full year that Great Lakes was here, we had a little over 2,400. So we really made an advance in 2017. So if we can get, maybe the prices come down a little bit, at least on the last couple of seats, add a couple of routes to communities that right now we don't have service to, I think we're going to touch 10,000 perhaps. We won't do it this year because all these proposals aren't ready to roll out yet and we're nearing a half-year point. So perhaps in 2019 we might hit that. And thank you for bringing that up. For those of you who are unaware, if we get 10,000 paid boardings in a year, in a calendar year, we get a $1 million grant for construction or other services at the airport. It could be used for equipment, fire trucks, snow plows, or pavement. So,
or a terminal?
$1 million is not going to touch a terminal.
Well, I know that, but I mean, could it go towards a terminal?
It can go towards a terminal complex, because if we go with a new terminal, we've got an area earmarked to the north end of the airfield that's going to take more than just a building. It'll take a complete build-out of parking, ramp area, things of that nature. But that probably won't happen until we get our numbers up to justify it.
And my last comment is just merely a suggestion. Perhaps in you guys' marketing deal, if you point out that at the Cortez Airport there's no parking fees, and that the getting on and off the airplane is a significantly shorter procedure than it is at just about any place in the world. I wish you luck. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, pro or con, from the audience?
I'm short, but I'll still use this one. Kelly Kirkpatrick, I'm the Director of Tourism for Mesa Verde Country. And really just want to thank you for the service that you've provided. Part of my job is to bring in outside visitors to the area. And we've appreciated the fact that you've had reliable service. I think one of my questions, I would ask you to clarify your code share agreement with United. Can we expect that would include connecting flights through Denver or through Phoenix, possibly with United? That we could rely on bringing outside media writers to the area and have them be able to fly from the East Coast and land in Cortez rather than Durango, for example, if we had some kind of better agreement with United, even if that was checked bags. Maybe they have to go through security in Denver or Phoenix perhaps, but that bags could be checked clear through. Something like that would alleviate some of what I have to go through when bringing visitors from the outside, and then we could promote Cortez as a fly market because we have service that would take them from Chicago, from LA, for example, different markets that do visit the area. So that would be something that I would be very keen on seeing pushed through for those obvious reasons. But overall, the folks that we have flown, that we've managed to connect, great service. The price, you made it very clear from the start that the price would fluctuate, that it would go up, that you had introductory rates, and so I didn't feel misled in that capacity at all, although I do appreciate, because I do travel a lot for my own, for business, when the prices are a little bit lower, because I can save my organization money. That's really, I guess, the only thing that I would be interested in seeing is definitely pushing through some kind of agreement with United, so that we can get travelers here a little easier.
Sure.
So I just want to thank you for what you've done so far. Really been happy with the service.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I will comment on that. So it turns out that we actually have an interline agreement with United right now, and we've had that for about a year. We should probably publicize that more because people, including yourself, sounds like you don't know about it. And what interline means is that you can go to united.com and you can book, you should be able to book, and we can check it right now here to make sure, but you can book tickets from right now from Chicago to Cortez on united.com or even travel agencies. And your bag should get checked through as well. But maybe that
well,
didn't...
Well, maybe for United, but through a travel agency, there can't... Again.
This would be recorded, this would be live streamed, and so if we look at the podium, people at home can see that.
Sorry about that. I hear what you're saying. I'll verify that.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay. And we are looking forward to a growing partnership with United as well. Like, we've already got this interline with them. We're hoping for the next level up is code share, which is looking positive. But these types of relationships with United, they are really good for making it easy for people to transfer their bags and just book in general. So, we're very happy about that, and we're not necessarily stopping with United either. We know that there are other airlines out there where it can be nice to interline with them as well, so you can have more options for how you're going to have your itinerary go. So.
Hi, my name is Betty Chavez. I am a resident here and also work out at the airport. I'm part of the TSA crew there. On behalf of TSA, we are excited that you all are here. We were thrilled that you all had received the contract. We get a lot of feedback because we hear whether it's pro or it's not so good. We get a lot of the feedback. Part of the feedback has been that, when your prices were substantially low, when you all were delayed, believe me, they all stayed. Mm-hmm. That might have been till 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody went home. But when you all begin to rise your prices and people begin to pay more money for it, they just said, hey, this isn't like worth it to me.
Sure.
Because I'm not getting a benefit out of it. What is your proposal in terms of, behind the bigger scene of the delays, because they are substantial. On my part from TSA, still encouraging the passenger. It's still a great airline, being very encouraged by you all. But I'd like to give them more than just a spill that, hey, you're going to get out at some point.
Sure. Yeah, so no, great question, and that's something I wanted to talk about anyway. So delays, one of the primary things that has been delaying us in Denver has been fuel, actually. So we are smaller than Delta and American and United, turns out, just a little bit. And we use a lot less fuel than they do. So when we call for fuel, we can kind of end up being at the end of, or the bottom of the totem pole. So what we've done, just literally in the last couple weeks, is we have our own fuel truck now, and we started fueling our own airplanes. So that has helped significantly in terms of fuel. It helps speed up our planes, you know, in getting them out more on time. And then it also helps us save some money, which is certainly good. So there's that. Additionally, you know, we are, like I said, we've been adding more airplanes too, because another reason for delays can be mechanical issues. And so by having more aircraft, it also makes it easier to just have more options. Like, okay, this plane has some problem, it's going to be stuck there for 3 hours until we get it repaired. If we have more just general airplanes around, we're able to recover from some type of problem more quickly. So those are a couple things we're doing. And another thing on the delays is that we actually have a lot of technology in our company. You know, my background is in computers and programming, and we've put a tremendous amount of effort into building a new flight operations platform. And this is really great for us because instead of, like, if we rewind to a year or two ago, everything that was being recorded for how the flights are going, you know, what time it started, what time it finished, that was all being filled out on pieces of paper by our captains. Just within the last 3 months, we rolled out electronic logs. So the iPad that we have in the plane is notating, the captain and the first officer, they're notating on there what time they took off, what time they landed, and also if they were delayed, what the reason for the delay is. So now we, for the first time since we started, we are able to literally see which routes are performing well. We can see this flight on this day, wow, that's consistently late. And then we can start to dig in on the reason why. Up until now, we haven't had that visibility. And so it's not that everything is perfect now, but I can tell you right when we turned that on about 3 months ago, our overall on-time performance was about 50%. Is that about right, Mike? 56%. And I was very unhappy to learn that. Sure, I thought, hey, everything is great, we're pretty good. We just didn't have the visibility. And so now, now that we've made a few changes, we're still not perfect, far from it, but we are seeing more around 75% on time. The fuel truck is helping, and then just people being more, our pilots, our CSAs, being more conscious of the fact that we're measuring this. It just puts a little extra spring in everyone's step to try and do a better job. So, you know, we're working on it. Now that we have the tools and the data, we can start to dig in on those problems.
Okay. And from here moving forward, I don't know what your advertising budget is, but because we get to see all the IDs that come through, Farmington, Shiprock, all the way into Arizona. We got people coming from Pagosa Springs, Durango, Hespers, all of that area, and a lot of them letting us know that they found out about Boutique by just word of mouth. That there hasn't really been any advertising other than it's been word of mouth. So I don't know if that would enhance the probability of the numbers going up there by letting those communities know that we are there, that Boutique is there. So that might be an option for you. But I want to understand this correctly. Am I heard you right that the 4 flights that are currently going out of Cortez, those flights are subsidized?
Correct. All the flights that we have right now.
If you were to add any more on there, is there a possibility of getting those subsidized? I mean, is there a dependency there that no, you can only have 4 flights, the others cannot be subsidized, so we now need, you know, more people going through with higher volume of dollars?
If the city has a bunch of money they want to subsidize flights, that'd be great.
Raise your taxes, Betty.
To answer your question more seriously, the program that is currently subsidizing these flights is, I would say they're not really open to doing more flights.
Okay.
Usually we established this number of flights a couple years ago, and I'd say that they don't like to increase that generally because they're on a budget as well. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not a possibility of us adding flights, especially there are some communities nearby. If we were to fly to some of those communities, I mean, separately, for example, you've got places like Telluride, you've got Page, Arizona. Both of those are possibilities for us to have direct flights from those cities into, say, Denver or Phoenix or somewhere like that. It's possible that we could maybe connect those cities up if we were to do that, and that would kind of help add more air service to the city. So.
Okay. Well, on behalf of TSA, you know what, you all have come in and have done an incredible job. It has been, it's been a thrill to see, and being raised and born in the community, leaving for 30 years, coming back, and knowing that they can book a flight, and they will eventually get out, and that's my thing to them. You know what? You will get out. That's a good thing. So thank you all for coming here to Cortez. It's been, I find it a joy every time I go to work to know that I'm going to meet new people, and the passengers are very kind. You get those one or two that, they woke up that morning and weren't quite sure where their luggage was. But overall, it's been a wonderful experience, and so I wish you well for the next 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Casey Lemunyon, and I'm a city resident. And in late January, early February, had my first experience flying with you on my flight out. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous right when the sun was coming up, and it's probably the best experience I've ever had flying on a plane. Just loved it. So that was wonderful. It was the first time I'd flown with Boutique Air, and was super excited. I think my flight back in from Denver may have been during that very difficult week that you mentioned. Wasn't quite the same experience. One, I had sent an email to customer service and hadn't gotten a response back, and just wondered if I could present you with another copy of it. Both
Yes,
some things
definitely.
that were, could have maybe been handled better in some customer service processes, and also a lot of praise for really wonderful staff that were just super, super, super kind and helpful during a really long, long day and evening in Denver. So, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
take
All right.
I'm sorry to hear about that, but yes, definitely.
Any other questions or comments? Going once. And twice. Okay, Mayor, did you want to address anybody in particular tonight, or?
Karen Sheik, I'm the mayor. I, again, would just like to reiterate what many other people have already said, that we are so pleased that you're here. We're looking forward to continuing the next 2 years with you providing service to Cortez. I guess the only thing that I might suggest is perhaps a bit more advertising. I know that when we had talked originally about you providing service to the area, that you had set some advertising dollars aside in order to build up interest and awareness in this community. And as somebody mentioned, there's a possibility that there are still folks that don't know.
Sure.
And this is a well-kept secret that we prefer not to be secret. It gives me great satisfaction to hear that people from Durango are coming to Cortez to fly out of our airport. So if there's something that you can do with your advertising to increase that, that would be great for our community, and I think would be great for those residents as well.
Sure,
So
sure.
thanks.
Yes, well, thank you, thank you. And we have, I have some information on our advertising. We have been doing some advertising, but, you know, it's possible that it would be good to change some of it and direct it to some other nearby neighboring communities. So we can do that. And if you have suggestions, I mean, I think you have our contact information too, and Russ.
Not too soon. Maybe even here in Cortez. I never cease to be amazed at the number of people in our community that sometimes haven't heard things when we really thought we'd done a great job of getting the word out.
Sure.
So if it's possible to maybe earmark some of those advertising dollars for Cortez, I think that's a good thing too, because, you know, we've got the airport out there. It's, you know, it's an investment in our community, and it always kind of surprises me when people say, "Oh no, I'm going to Durango." Well, did you know that we have 4 flights out of our airport, and you don't have to pay for parking, and it's closer and all of that. So I think maybe a little bit more advertising would be great.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And there's something wrong with this mic, and I didn't break it.
Yeah. And I think most of you are aware, these 4 flights a day that several folks have mentioned up here, there's 3 daily flights round trip to Denver and 1 to Phoenix. On the prior Essential Air Service contract, when Great Lakes was here for 19 years, and the provider before them, we only had 3 flights a day to Denver. That was it. And somewhere along the line, the rules changed, and a second community was able to be added in. So that flight to Phoenix is just as popular as the Denver flights on a per-flight basis. So I think that's a boon to our community as well. We're starting to branch out a little bit. Any other comments or questions?
Can I say something?
Certainly.
I'd just like to thank Donna. You do it all here for you and your team, so, and Autumn, and now Nate. So I think we owe you a lot too for representing us.
Well, if there are no other comments or questions, I guess we'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you, both of you, for coming down, and I appreciate your the effort you made to come and meet with us this evening.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, everyone.
We're spending the night.